Brutal Barracuda, a Sniper Elite channel.
Hello. All right. I mean, I
Oh,
suppose we're a little earlier than initially scheduled, but I guess we can get cracking. Hello, everyone, to the audience. Let me first of all welcome the team from the development side of things: Ryan Baker, Tom Field, and Eric Spiropoulos. Let me allow them to introduce themselves and let everybody know what they do at Rebellion. Start with you, Ryan.
I'm Ryan, and I'm the lead designer on Sniper Elite 5. You'll have to excuse me throughout this chat. My voice has been going for most of this day, so I'll keep taking various medicines and spoonfuls of honey, and hopefully I can last the hour. But yeah, basically my job is doing all things game design and looking over stuff with that. So, and then working with the very talented people like Alex and Tom, who can introduce themselves now, the specific areas they look at. Alex?
I can go. Yeah, I'm Alex. I'm a senior level designer at Rebellion. I'm also one of the main people involved in the multiplayer side of things from a design perspective as well as level design.
Over to you, Tom.
Sure. I'm a designer for Sniper 5. I have been mostly working on the invasion mode, but I've also done a lot of various other things across the project, tutorials, that kind of thing.
You've done a lot, Tom, to be fair. You've probably worked on the biggest range
All
of
the
features.
spare parts that somebody else hasn't been doing.
A lot of stuff.
Some of you might already have come across Tom in the past
I
as
hear the smile in your voice, Tommy.
there is a smile in my there is a smile in my voice. Well, it was quite a while ago now. Tom was involved in one of our streams and was actually probably the first person to ever announce Sniper Elite 5 accidentally, which became a bit of an in meme. And as Garintium has just alluded to, he is not dead. As people did think that he had been taken out as a result of leaking stuff. But no, he's alive and well and here to answer your questions. So without further ado, thank you all of you who have sent in questions. We've got a lot to get through over the next hour or so. And keep them coming. As I said before, if you go to the Sniper Elite section in our Discord, there is a Sniper Elite 5 question section. Feel free to drop in there and fire away. So let me head over to my roster. Mostly from Discord. You guys are awesome as always really active. And we're going to start with Dahua Konglong CN, which is a bit of a mouthful. Will there be headshot game modes in multiplayer?
Well, we don't have a headshot game mode as its own thing. We never actually have had that. What we do have is server settings that allow you to actually configure a multiplayer match to have that. We have various server settings we always have, such as being able to turn on and off particular inventory items, being able to set it so that you can't sprint, or you can, as this question is, you can set whether or not it's headshots only, which is a nice and quite hardcore mode we found in the past, where hit someone in the body, it doesn't even register. Always fun on the hardest of hardcore settings. We used to have actually we still do have a preset called Headhunter, where that's enabled, and then it makes it a bit faster for people to set matches.
But there are any other settings with that Headhunter, Alex?
We've got we've got other well, I keep saying modes. We have other settings like that. For example, there's a preset called hazard free, which basically makes it so that you don't have traps in the map. There's your sort of standard hardcore preset, which allows you to set all the sorts of settings, like you don't have the radar, you don't have particular weapon setups. You can also turn off, as I said before, pretty much everything except for a sniper rifle. So if you wanted to go like properly snipers only, you could set it to headshots only and then only sniper rifles, which can actually result in some pretty crazy games when you're playing on like a longer range map, or if you're playing with a long range sort of scoring metric like distance.
Awesome. We have another question from the same person. Will the survival mode have 12 waves and 4 command posts like Sniper Elite 4, or have any new improvements?
Yeah, we do have 12 waves again in survival. We're split up in a similar way with the 4 command posts. There's essentially 3 stages. So you do 4 stages, each of 3 waves that have that command post. Once you complete that stage, you move to another command post. There's been many improvements going into the survival mode, and it is really good fun to play. We've got a lot of good positive feedback from playtesting. One of the nice quality of life improvements there is it will save at the end of a stage. So once you complete a command post, move on to a new one, you can then start from that point if you want to, which makes it's a nice thing if you're really gunning for those last 3 waves or the last 6 waves to do. It means you don't have to always start right at the beginning, which can be really helpful for time and just trying to get to that last point. We also have operations this time round. So each mission is set up with 4 operations. An operation is again a 12-wave run, but they have a different setup of command posts. So it plays very differently. So it's all in the same area, but the way you have to defend, where you have to move from and between in the different stages is changed up. So that means actually for each level, you've got quite a lot of variety there and a lot of replay, and especially just with the way survival is anyway, with enemies, the way they come in, the way they move about, it means each session is going to play quite differently. And again, it is 1 to 4 player co-op, so that makes a massive difference as well. So the number of players you've got with you will affect the enemies as well that come to attack you. So it's not gonna necessarily be that much easier if there's 4 of you compared to if you're just on your own. Although obviously having someone watching your back will always be invaluable.
Thanks, Ryan. K3PSU asks, will the invading player face restrictions to the areas he can traverse or equipment he can use, such as no mines to prevent very frustrating, almost random deaths? Have you come across any unavoidable gameplay mechanic flaws in invasion mode while developing it?
So there aren't too many restrictions on the invader. You can go most places in the levels. We don't let you do stuff that's gonna break the level for the other player, but you can move around freely. I think there's only a couple of places in the game we don't actually let you go. You do have a restricted loadout. You're restricted just to Axis equipment, and are you unlock things for your loadout by playing invasion mode. So you start off without mines, but can unlock them later.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks, Tom. Dewaf asks, will the invading player see the objectives of the allied sniper? Will he get a notification if the allied sniper completes an objective? Will the invading player see dead NPCs on his screen from the entire map, or just a section he's on, or not at all?
So the invading player, you don't see the objective they're playing, but you do get a notification each time they complete an objective. So usually the best way to figure out what they're up to is when you get told they've completed an objective, look around for very large explosion. You can tag. It's a very important tactical thing to do as the invader is you can tag the other Germans. That lets you use them to see some of to get access to some of the information they've got. So, for example, if you tag somebody and they see the allied sniper at close range, you will get told where that enemy sniper is. So you want to, even if you can't find the other player at first, you want to go around tagging all the enemies you can find, because one of them's going to report back to you.
And even if
and
they
yeah,
don't report back to you, isn't it? It's one of those things if you've got allies of yours tagged, then you suddenly start seeing those tags disappearing. That's
yes,
very likely that they're being killed by the person you're hunting. So
yeah,
there's lots of layers, isn't there, to all of this? I think is what we found with invasion mode. There's so many different tactics
yes,
you can sort of take advantage of, and there's lots of things to keep an eye out for. So what
yeah,
initially may be, you tag them and you see if they've spotted someone that's really obvious, but then it's keeping an eye out for those extra details like, oh, okay, I tagged some people over there.
yeah,
Now all those tags have gone. That means somebody must have gone through there killing them recently.
yeah, yeah. I skipped over one part of the last question, which was, have you come across any gameplay mechanic flaws? No, we haven't. Or like, obviously we've had problems, but then we've done our best to fix them. So there's nothing like that that we're aware of, and we're going to have patches lined up later on. There was a bug at one point where the invading sniper could complete objectives. So this expert German huntsman could come into the level with you and do you a favor by blowing up the enemy base for you. But we have fixed that. That doesn't happen anymore.
There's
I
been a
will
lot of
say,
knock-ons there. It's been quite interesting seeing all the different things that can
Yeah,
happen that we didn't anticipate until we started playing. All these
yeah,
funny things happening.
one of the most common questions that we've had with regards to invasion mode is whether you can toggle it on or off. The answer is yes, you can. You can
Yeah.
elect to have it kind of happening or not. We'll address a lot more about invasion mode in some of these questions anyway. But to reassure some of you who were initially panicking about having some expert person drop in and totally hinder your very relaxed approach to the campaign, you'll be pleased to know that you can turn it on and off. So moving on to the question, some more questions. Heisenberg, love your work by the way. Will ghillie suits serve any practical use or remain a cosmetic item?
So the ghillie suit is only a cosmetic item, but just like it is in real life, it will make a difference. You're playing against other players, so it will help if you're in the right place. If you're amongst some foliage, then it is going to become more difficult for other players to spot you. If you're running around in concrete or inside a bunker, maybe not so much, but yeah, it can definitely be used to your advantage. And if you found it to be much use in playing multiplayer, Alex?
Yes, it's if you're in sort of like heavy foliage areas, it does tend to be really useful. Bear in mind though that it is a very late game unlock, so you won't have people running around with it at sort of early points in the game. So it's not horrifically overpowered either. So you'll still be able. It doesn't like interfere with things like aim assist or anything like that. You'll always be able to know where somebody is. You can tag people with it. So it's mostly when you're doing like your visual scanning of the environment. If you're not really paying attention, you'll sort of they'll just blend into the background, especially in sort of like wooded areas. It's kind of uncanny. You sort of sat there going, I'm sure, because I've done this. I've had I've had 2 copies of the game running. One person being the one with the ghillie suit, me not being with them. And I'm sort of looking at this area going, where did I put that player? I cannot find them for the life of me. And they're literally like just stood out in the open in the middle of this forest.
You also look extremely badass wearing a ghillie suit. That's my personal opinion. That is my default. So I'm very excited for it to be back in the mix. But yeah, thanks for that, guys. Over to long-term active member in Discord and wonderful zombie army player as well as Sniper Elite, apparently. Nove. How many rewards are available for the invasion sniper, and if they will have specialized loadouts? And then in brackets, Germany only, exclusive invasion only weapons, etc., compared to regular players.
Yeah, so the invasion sniper has, I think, 11 sets of rewards they can unlock. You unlock those by scoring kills in invasion mode, so by joining other people's games and hunting them down. That is a mix of mechanical things like extra weapons and equipment, and also extra cosmetic stuff. I think you can get the ghillie suit at the top level of that as well. And yeah, you have a slightly more restricted loadout than regular players. You can unlock a bunch of stuff, but you are still restricted to German weapons.
One of the
Nice.
things with the cosmetic skins there, originally when we were sort of looking at this, we were like, okay, the character is gonna just look like some cool, badass German sniper, and that's what they're gonna be. And we're just sort of imagining, enemy of the gate style showdowns and stuff. But while we were waiting for that, because we didn't have the assets for a badass sniper that early on, we just used our only skin we had available, which was a German infantry. And that suddenly sort of revealed to us that actually this is quite a cool option,
Oh
because
yeah,
we found
yeah.
people started to play as an infantry soldier, and then they'd start walking around pretending that they were AI and doing everything a little bit slowly,
Yeah.
and just trying to trick the allied player into thinking this is just a normal AI running around, someone they can perhaps ignore a bit before suddenly turning and becoming that lethal sniper they really were hidden as. So
Yeah.
that early on changed what we were doing with character skins and made us want to add the options of just the various different characters that could be
Yeah.
found in the game, which is
Yeah.
just a very interesting change as we went along.
Yeah, it really ramps up the tension when you think you're being watched. You think that one of these AI you can see as you're hiding in a bush. You think maybe one of the AI you can see might not be an AI, but how sure are you? Do you want to start shooting and maybe kill this human enemy, but now all the other AI are going to get you, or do you want to stay calm and lie low and maybe you haven't been seen and keep an eye out on them to see which one is real? It's great. It really adds to it.
So, Costas Peo GR, who has a few questions, some great ones, by the way. Will the Panzerfaust be available in online multiplayer, similarly to Sniper Elite 3?
The Panzerfaust is in multiplayer. Unlike Sniper 3, it's not something you can take in your loadout. What we have is that's new to Sniper 5 is supply drops. These will spawn in at various points around a multiplayer map. And they serve as little focal points for people to fight over. So what happens is it drops a little cluster of pickups, which will always include 1 or 2 heavy weapons in the form of either an MG42, a Panzerfaust, or a artillery flare gun, alongside some special ammo and a supply pouch with items and health kits in it. On top of which, if you get to that, there's like a risk reward factor, because if you're within 50 meters of it and your opponent gets it, you'll get auto tagged for a short period of time. So what you sort of have to weigh up whether or not you want to risk running for this nice cache of items, or if you want to actually hang back and just make sure that you don't get spotted, or alternatively hang back and camp it to try and shoot at anyone who's going to try and make a run for it. But that's where you'll get your Panzerfausts from.
No,
and
you
they're-
caught. I didn't know you caught automatically tagged.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I was gonna say
No
that as well.
no
That's
wonder
my
I've had a
reason
lot
why.
of very short fun times with a machine gun.
Yeah, it's only a small radius, but we found that it gave that sort of element of, like I say, risk reward, and at the same time it gave them more of a reason for people to go for them, because we've also give you, like, you get experience for getting to it, and if your allies are near you, they'll get experience just for being in close proximity. But there was nothing that said, this gives you like a buff of some kind. So we thought, oh, you know what? If we keep it to a balanced radius, so that it's not going to like break the game in any way, and we keep the tag lifetime on it down, so that you're not tagged for a huge amount of time, it'll be something that players can sort of enjoy fighting over and enjoy getting those rewards.
Awesome. I fear the Panzerfaust. It is a weapon that I have come across in my Authentic Plus runs that have left me very scarred. So I'm over the moon that it's back. That was ironic. But anyway, another question: Will you be able to defuse other players' minds in multiplayer?
Yes, you can. We've always allowed you to do that. In fact, Sniper 5 actually goes a little bit further with that, because in multiplayer we now have, we'll get into it a bit later, but we now have sort of dedicated multiplayer perks and skills, and they're organized into specialized, not, we call them classes, but it's not a class. It's just you take that tree of skills, and one of them is the engineer, and that gives you some abilities around traps. So, for example, you get one ability called anti-handling device, which, when you've got that, your mines now take twice as long to disarm as a regular mine. And if someone aborted the attempt to disarm one halfway through, it will blow up in their face. So that then adds that extra tactical element, because if someone starts to defuse it, they're like, what if someone starts shooting me right now? I need to, like, defuse this right away. So maybe I want to sort of be on that perk tree myself, so that I can get slightly faster disarming. So yeah, to answer the base question, yes, we allow you to disarm mines, but we just go a little bit further with that.
Nice. Well, that's a good tip for Gabe, because Gabe seems to be our community manager, seems to be the first person to step on mines, especially in multiplayer. But we won't lean too heavily on that. In the new multiplayer, will it be 8v8 instead of the previous 6v6?
Yes, it's we've upped the player count to 16. So what that means is, in free for all, it's every person for themselves. In team matches and no cross matches, you are looking at 8v8. But we also have squad match, which is 4v4 v4 v4, which is a big favourite amongst the team, because it allows a lot more sort of tactical play, and you're all sort of sticking more closely together in little packs of players.
Great, I love squad match. I love seeing two other squads having a fight and then being able to pick them off while they're distracted with each other. Really good fun.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Very much looking forward to that. That
It's-
sounds like a massive cluster disaster waiting to happen on stream, but I'm very excited for sure.
It is always a very fun sort of situation in a multiplayer match where it's like, okay, who's on my team, and then you sort of look at these people, and then you pray that you've got one of the better players. If you're me, anyway, because you're like, oh, I'm not going to be too good by myself. And then you get this really cool dynamic going on where some players will, some teams, I should say, will move as a group and sort of keep that sort of tactical cohesion going. Whereas others, we had one situation the other day where 3 people on the team sort of went off and did that tactical movement aspect, but I hung back up in the ruins of a nearby building as sort of like the sniper and spotter for the team combined. So I was just like telling everyone where enemies were, and then if someone sort of popped up to try and shoot at one of my teammates who was making a run for it, I could sort of ping them as distant support. And then they could do the little running around without having that aspect that you get in bigger team games where there's just bullets flying at your entire team all the time, because you'll have this other little team moving up nearby and they're taking some of the flak for you. So yeah, it works really nicely that way. And going back to our perk trees stuff, there are 4 sort of classes. So you can have every single member of your team being set up with a different set of perks that will make them play ever so slightly differently, and some of them work better at certain things within a squad.
You've got various improvements as well, haven't we, Alex, for communicating?
Yes,
with your
yeah.
team?
I mean, this one's game wide. We've got the ability to environment tag like you could in previous snipers, but when you do it this time, when you sort of ping the environment, a lot of those pings are contextual. So, like if you pinged a box of ammunition, you'll call it out as ammunition. If you ping an enemy, it'll just ping that there's an enemy there. You also have a communications wheel that you can bring up, which has like quick chat options. So those are quite good for doing very quick communication, like calling out for someone to help you if you're wounded, or being able to just tell people not to go in a particular direction. You can just say no, or say yes, wait for on my mark, and it puts a little countdown timer so that you can actually sort of coordinate without voice comms if you don't have it.
Going to be really interesting to see how people make use of that and how some really tight teams work closely together.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we've
how
seen
some don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some
well,
don't.
we've seen polar opposites in some of the multiplayer matches when you've got like teams of people who have no cohesion whatsoever and everyone just runs off and does their own thing, versus the few teams that work really well together. And when you get that cohesion going, it makes it a really fun game to play.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that potential. Obviously, in our previous streams, we've been doing Wolves versus Eagles, and it'll be nice to add a couple of extra factions to the mix moving forward. So will the XP we earn be counted in multiplayer campaign and survival, or will they all have different levels, just like other games of a similar nature?
They are not all separate. Campaign and survival share their progression. To an extent, there are different
Yeah.
skills in survival, aren't there?
Not quite. So campaign and survival share the progression in that XP you earn in one can be spent on the skill tree in the other. They have the same skill tree, but in the same way as you can select a different loadout for each version, you can choose your skills differently. So some of the skills that are better in survival you can build towards those immediately. You don't need to try and balance your skill tree between the two very different ways of playing the game.
Right. And multiplayer is, for the first time ever, completely separate from the other modes. So you have a completely unique level leveling system, I should say, with your own set of perks that are exclusive to multiplayer, weapon unlocks, item unlocks, skin unlocks, badges, titles, all of that in multiplayer is exclusive to multiplayer, and you don't have this situation that you had in previous games where you'd play through campaign and then you'd jump into multiplayer and you had all the toys right off the bat. You now have that progression element when playing the multiplayer, that sort of allows you to have that different custom experience. And you also unlock your attachments in multiplayer slightly differently to the way you do it in campaign. In campaign, as Lawrence mentioned last week, you have like the bundles of attachments that you get when you reach a
Workbench.
armory, a workbench armory. Whereas in multiplayer, what you get instead is every single attachment will have like a required challenge that is based on either using that weapon or another weapon in that weapon's class. And then it's usually things like killing a certain number of enemies or requiring you to blow up several enemies. I think it's 25 by blowing up mines and stuff like that. And then each weapon has all these different ones that you can select, and some attachments are shared between different weapons of the same class, but for the most part, they're fairly unique. But that basically gives it that different element to campaign. It's sort of rewarding you for experimenting with different guns and trying different sort of gameplay styles and stuff like that. So you're not just given things in a big group. You're actually earning them for playing the way you want to play.
Sounds like there's always a little something to be working towards, right? You can always
Yes.
go, oh, I'd like this, so I'm gonna try and get some landmine kills today. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I tend to find that at the current rate I've been going at, I tend to be like unlocking maybe 1 or 2 attachments per big multiplayer test we have every week. And that's on top of like my rewards I'm getting for ranking up, like earning a new skin or a new title or badge for my player card.
Nice. Just as a recap for anybody that's listening that hasn't already seen, if you head over to Sniper Elite 5 questions, they're coming in like a machine gun at the moment. Lots of people firing questions, so feel free, if you're listening and you have a question that you want answered, to drop that in there, and then we'll see if we can get that answered. On to the next question by Seven Phoenix Mag Barbarossa. Will there be customization for characters in multiplayer?
There's in terms of cosmetics, there's very limited in the form of hats. You'll be able to like select various helmets and headgear on your characters. But in terms of customization as a whole, you've got everything I've already just mentioned with customizing your weaponry, customizing what skills that you have access to via perks. The perk tree system for multiplayer is slightly different to the way it's done in campaign. You have one perk tree that is always available at all times, regardless of what you're doing, and that's the sniper tree because everyone's a sniper. But then once you reach level 5, you gain access to specialization perk trees, and there are 4 of those, which are assault, engineer, medic, and scout. And then what you can do is you can have one of those alongside your sniper tree at all times, and that customization aspect allows you, like, if you die, you can just hot swap to another one, quickly change your gear, so you can sort of build your own custom sniper in that way by having a particular perk set up, a particular your custom item loadout, your weapon loadout, with the huge number of customizations, as Lawrence mentioned last week, and then you have your character with whatever headgear you choose to put on.
Nice, thanks, Alex. Question from Ogre, who is one of our wonderful long-serving mods. So thanks for the question, Ogre. Who can invade you? Just friends, and if the invasion mode is open to every player, regardless if you are or not friends, is there an option to set it for just friends?
So at the moment, invasion mode is anybody. So you can't specify to just invade your friends or invite your friends specifically. That's something we want, and we're looking into it, but it's proving to be surprisingly technically complicated, so no promises about that.
Nice. Okay. Again from Ogre, since you can be invaded even in co-op, does the mission fail if one of the partners is killed, or the other one can continue to hunt the invader and save the day? I assume they can, as it makes sense. Who gets the reward? The one who whacks the invader, or both partners?
So in co-op, if the invader, the sniper Jaeger, as we call them, if they kill one of the co-op partners, then the game does not immediately end. Instead, we start a timer, and if you have managed to get revenge on the sniper Jaeger by killing them back, then you win. If you do not manage to kill them, then they win. So as soon as the sniper Jaeger has got one of you, the other one is now on a time limit to get revenge. All of the invasion rewards, both the ones for the Axis for the sniper Jaeger and for the victim being invaded, are tied to kills. So if you're invading a co-op game, you have the chance to get 2 kills and twice as much rewards. And the players you are invading, you want to get the kill to get the rewards yourself. So maybe you don't want too much help from your friend. Maybe you want the skill for yourself.
Always that interesting thing as well. If you're playing co-op and someone invades your game, if your partner gets shot but is downed and not killed, then you're stuck with that real tough decision of, do I go and try and revive this person knowing they were just shot at that position, or do I leave them to fend for themselves, most possibly die, while I go and try and get revenge? It's a tough choice, or not, depending on who you are.
That sounds like a Team Eagle thing to kind of do. Question from another one of our wonderful mods, Garintium. Will invasion in the highest difficulty be on permanently?
No, it is not. So invasion, I can talk a bit more about how we enable and disable invasion. You can always turn invasion on and off. Sorry, you can always turn it off. You might need to load a save to turn it on because that requires going online. It's not linked to difficulty, so you can play in authentic difficulty and have it turned off, or you can play in the easiest difficulty and have it turned on. We know we've seen that the first comment everybody has made about invasion is, can I turn it off? And yeah, you can. Don't worry. But so I started at the company quite early in the process of making this game, and I was told about invasion, and my first reaction to that was exactly the same. It was, oh, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want someone to do that to me. So it's something that we've had in mind the whole way through making the game. Is the Sniper Jaeger is coming in a way, they're coming into your house, they're coming into your game. We are going to do what we can to make them be a gracious guest. So we are doing things to stop them from spoiling your game. You can always turn invasion off. You can kick an invader that's present, and you can. We also have a system for rematches. So if you lose, you can rematch from the start and try and beat them again, or you can choose not to do that and just carry on with your campaign as normal. So it's yeah, I'm seeing in the comments that the difficulty is indeed based on the host's difficulty. It is. Yeah, I feel like someone's mum trying to tell them to eat their vegetables. I really enjoy it now. I thought I wouldn't have liked it very much, but I really do. So I really strongly recommend giving it a shot at least once, even if your immediate thought is that you don't like it. Oh, also I have in my notes. So you earn, if you have it turned on, you earn extra XP just for playing with the possibility of an invasion, and then you earn an additional amount of XP for playing with it actually happening. So you can get some pretty good rewards for just being open to it happening.
One of the safety we've got in there as well is when you do get invaded, we'll we'll perform a save so that you
Yes.
can always go back to that point if you want to pre-invasion. And I apologise for my voice.
Yeah.
It's getting
Yeah.
worse
So you
throughout
can
this.
always yeah, when you get invaded, if the invasion caused you, even if you won, you can go back to the start and play that section of the level again, because perhaps you're trying to be really stealthy and they've made that really hard. There's another question in the chat that it doesn't have voice chat. There is no communication between you and the enemy player. You don't need to worry about them coming in and shouting things at you in the voice chat.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a recipe for absolute disaster.
Yeah.
The banter would be at an all-time high, I'd imagine, and banter being the most negative version of that. So yeah, it's good, and also I suppose the mystery is kept as well by not having communication. Certainly with the enemy sniper.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like a boss fight, right? That was the original design way back when, was how can we make a sniper as smart as a person? Let's just get a person in. So it plays a lot like that. It's yeah, it's I think it's a part of the full experience. I think you will, like I said, give it a shot, even if you're a bit cautious about it.
Definitely give it a shot. It is it can be a lot of fun. I know some of you are very, very set in your ways, as I am with lots of my games, but it's with Sniper Elite 5, and especially with Invasion Mode being a new concept for the series, I think it's a lot of you will be really keen on giving it a go. Let me move over to we've got a few more questions in our preset roster, and then we can head over and try and grab some from the hundreds now that are flying through on our Discord. Thanks to the guys for also taking note of some of those that are coming through. Herp Dirt, I see you listening. Hi Herp. How will the system for skins be in co-op in Sniper Elite 5?
So initially, you have a limited selection of skins. We've got Harry Hawker and Monica Grep you can choose to play as the co-op partner, and you'll be Carl Fairburn as the host. Once you complete the campaign, though, you will gain access to more allied skins. The way you unlock them, they can be various different ways to access those. But yeah, you will be able to play through the campaign and go up as different skins.
Harry Hawker, obviously, many of you will have come across in previous Sniper Elites, and lots of you might have seen on our social pages. We've been kind of teasing some character cards over the last few weeks. Harry has featured with a little bit of background on him, and if you stay tuned this week, we will be revealing a little bit more about Monica Grepp. So very excited to have her on the roster now as well. Let me go to my questions. Another one from Herb. Are we getting at least one Legionnaire with Kepi Blanc?
We don't have a Legionnaire with a Kepi Blanc, I'm afraid. You would stand out a lot with that, so you'd have to be quite a good player to play with a big white hat. We do have French Resistance, though. There's various French Resistance skins, and various other allied skins as well. We won't go through all of them at the minute. We'll leave some stuff to talk to you about at a future date, and we can go into the background and some of these characters. Hopefully, is it next week, Tommy, that we're talking about the sort of narrative a bit and some of the story side of things?
Yes. So next week's is let me go to my it's settings and characters next week.
Well, there we go. Perfect time to go over
Perfect
some of our
time.
characters
Yes.
that will be in the game.
But yeah, I'd imagine some skins are asking for it. Some people choose skins to be a little bolder when it comes to multiplayer, but obviously you've got to be a little bit more. You've got to be on point when it comes to a World War II game, so you can't have characters dressed as, I don't know, in bright
Chickens or
fluorescent
anything.
tracksuits or anything.
Yeah.
But I know that there would be people who would fancy themselves even with garish outfits. But no, unfortunately not this time round. We actually have another question from Nove, and the last one of our presets. Is there a difficulty mode more further than Authentic Plus?
So, good news and bad news. The bad news is there is no Authentic Plus. The good news is that's just because all the stuff from Authentic Plus is now in Authentic. We know that you want it nice and difficult, so all of the things that we would have put in Authentic Plus, we've put in Authentic difficulty. So that is the level of difficulty that Authentic Plus was.
And as usual, we've got all the customization options, haven't we, as well,
Yes.
Tom? So you can go
Yeah.
through and you don't have to pick one of our 5 preset difficulties. You can go in and customize these and pick the pieces you don't want.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's a fair bit more customizable than previous titles have been. So I think no matter how you want to play, you can fiddle about with the difficulty to find something you'll enjoy there.
Yes, there is initial panic in the
I
chat.
know, I'm watching the chat.
Yeah, but fear not, folks. It's still there. A variant of it. If anything, there is more in terms of customization. So it is still there in a way. Right. Let me track back a little bit. Go up the page because we have had lots of questions coming through. I'm going to try and find the ones that won't have Karis beat me to death with a big wooden stick. So let me have a little look what we can answer. By the way, thanks again to everybody who have tuned in to listen. There's been quite a lot of you this time round. But keep those questions coming. And I mean, obviously we have a session next week about settings and characters, so please keep feeding those through, and the crew next week will do their best to answer those. But in the meantime, let me see if I can grab a couple from the Discord that's been live. someone's asked, is crossplay available in the whole game or only part of it? Will there be multiple seasons? Oh, we can answer that another time. But will crossplay be available in the whole game?
Yeah, crossplay will be available for you whenever you want to invite somebody or join somebody's game using the code. Yes, you can.
And this is the first time, if I'm not mistaken, that we've had crossplay of this magnitude for Sniper Elite.
That's correct. Yeah. Yes, it'll be interesting to see. For sure, lots of people are going to get very much in who's better than who. I can already see some of that going on in the chat.
Yeah, there are some very passionate folk who are waiting in the wings to let us have it. I hope mostly in the best possible way. Is it possible to mix or combine multiple skins with each other? That's War Priest gear. Thank you, War Priest.
We don't really have much to change with the skins. You've got your character skin, and then you do have the hats at the moment, so you can swap. Yeah, put a French resistance hat on a US soldier or something like that. You can make different combinations like that, but you don't have changing of sort of lower body, upper body, or other various parts like that.
In terms of survival, has there endless waves ever been considered for survival?
It has been considered, but yeah, we wanted with the way our survival works, and we like the way it works with the command posts. You're sort of limited with the amount of command posts you can do when you're going on and on. And we really wanted there to be a sense of achievement of you actually being able to properly stop an invasion. I know because in the previous games we've worked on, we did have endless waves in like Zombie Army 4. That kind of ties in quite well with the theme of that game, of this never-ending waves of zombies shambling towards you. But no, so once you've in SE5, once you've completed your 12 waves, you have held back the opposing force and won the day.
A couple more questions from Herb Derp. How will invasion mode impact the co-op play?
So it's definitely much more challenging to invade a co-op game. You definitely much more challenging to invade a co-op game. You can because now you've got two people to hunt down. You might be able to keep track of one of them, but the other one's off doing something else. A lot of the things you can use to find the enemy location work for one player at a time. But you can get the 2 rewards for killing both of them. Like I said, if you kill one player, there's now a timer running out until the and if there's a timer running out. You win if that timer expires, but you lose if the other player manages to hunt you down before that. And of course, imagine that if you shoot one of them, they'll immediately go and let their mate know where you were. So yeah, it's
Definitely more challenging. I think it was one of the most fun things about just invasion mode in general, whether it's solo or co-op, is
yeah.
the sort of it flip-flops between who has the advantage. You can start off thinking going in as the invader, right? You've got the advantage now. You can have a sneak around. You can run around quite freely compared to your target. But then all of a sudden you may not spot them for a while, or you may suddenly get told that you've been tagged or something like that, and everything suddenly changes, and you can start to feel a bit like, oh, maybe you don't have a handle on this. Maybe you're now the one being hunted, and it's really fun. Sort of the changing dynamic throughout the gameplay. It's really good, and also just not knowing the skill level of the person you're up against as well does make that adds extra doubts in your mind when you're trying to chase after this person.
I've seen questions regarding the skill tree in multiplayer mode. Can you go into a little bit more detail about that? How the skill tree impact the game?
Yeah, one of the things we've been very keen to avoid with the skill tree is having a situation where any of the perks in any of the trees will actually make a player sort of overpowered in any way. So you don't have to worry about there being any skills along the lines of increases your weapon's damage or something, or increases your accuracy or something like that. What we tend to do with them is these are perks that enhance and augment particular styles of play. So, for example, the sniper perks are that's where you'll get like your extra item slot, and that's where you'll get an ability that makes it so that distant pings on the radar will eventually become smaller, and you'll be able to actually sort of triangulate an enemy's position if they're just relentlessly firing. And probably one of my favourites, it's the tiniest chance that it'll happen, but one of the perks will give you the ability to trigger a bleeding wound on someone that they have to, it basically causes their health to drop if they don't bandage it up. Some of the other ones, like the medic perks, are all about healing yourself and allies. So you've got skills like your bandages and medkits restore more health. Or one of them is that just any allies within a small distance of you will get like a passive buff to their heart rate recovery speed. Then the assault is all about sort of durability and grenades. So that particular set of perks will be all about you don't slow down as much when you take damage. You have a little bit more health, but not game-breakingly so. You can throw grenades slightly faster. You can quick throw grenades back at opponents if you're fast enough. And one of my favourites on that one is you can steal some ammo from somebody if you melee kill them. Then the scout is all about recon and maneuverability. So you tag slightly faster. You can see enemy placed traps in a short range of you. They'll sort of glow, not so far away that you'd easily be able to avoid them. You've still got to take it slow. And you take slightly less fall damage when you drop. And it gives you the ability to do a drop takedown on someone. If you were like hanging from a ledge above a doorway and someone walked out from it, you'd be able to drop down and quickly kill them. And then, as I've mentioned before, the engineer is all about the explosions. So you have your anti-handling device perks. You have a counter to that in the form of bomb diffuser. You take ever so slightly less damage from explosions. And I should say every single class perk tree has has a perk in it that will allow you to carry. It doesn't allow you to carry more in total of an item, but it allows you to carry more of that particular type. So, for example, normally you can only carry 2 grenades, but if you're playing as the assault class, you get this perk that will allow you to carry 3 grenades. So that doesn't affect your total number of carried items, but it will allow you to carry slightly more. It basically means that every class's perks sort of are built to enhance playing the game in a particular way, and hopefully it's got something for everyone, depending on how you like to play. Because there are systems in Sniper 5 that are new to multiplayer for us, such as you can now knock down into an incapacitated state rather than just flat out dying. So what that means is someone can come over and revive you. But then we want that to be based around accuracy. So if you headshot someone or you heart shot someone, it's always going to be fatal, and someone can't revive you in that particular situation. But if you sort of wing people, or if you if they get caught in the outer edge of a blast from a grenade or a mine or something, that will always incapacitate someone, and then you'll have people sort of running over to try and revive them, because it also obviously affects your score. So if you die, you'll lose X amount of points from your own personal points. Then the opponent will obviously get their points for getting the kill. But if an ally revives you, you don't lose anything, and the enemy won't gain anything. So having perks that make that slightly faster, make you revive them with more health, so they don't come back on the brink of death. It all sort of works together in a nice sort of package in that way.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Just before we move on to our last question for the session, I did want to mention that we are currently running press events for Sniper Elite 5, which on the 27th of this month we'll be releasing some really exciting footage from those very events. So keep an eye on our feeds, folks, as we'll be revealing a little bit more regarding Sniper Elite. So that's very exciting for everybody, myself included. So yeah, that is ongoing. And so yeah, keep an eye out on the 27th for a bit more on those events. So let's go to one final question, because I know that people will probably have to be honest, we probably could go on forever, but let me find one last one. I did see one that I thought was quite interesting from Sonozuki. As an invader, can you heal infantry officers if they don't get fully killed?
So you can't heal the AI, but so the invader has a small selection of their own skills, and my favorite one of those is called Stay Sharp, and that lets you shout an instruction to the nearby Germans to make them pay more attention and keep them on their toes. So that kind of buffs their perception, makes them spot the enemy faster. So you can go round the level encouraging everybody else to pay more attention, and that will make them better at spotting the enemy for you.
Oh, I mean, there's absolutely tons of questions trickling through, but I think we've hit the hour mark. Keep those questions coming, folks. Obviously, we've got another Q&A for next week. Huge thanks to Ryan, Alex, and Tom for their really fantastic answers. Obviously to everybody who's sent in questions. You guys, as always, are awesome. We are really looking forward, not just obviously for the release, but for teasing little bits and bobs in between. People are glad you're still alive, Tom, and a part of the squad. We are, as we all are. Let's just not. We'll make sure that the next Sniper Elite is kept far from your grasp, sir. But yes, thank you, everyone. And next week, same time, and we'll be talking about settings and characters in Sniper Elite, and Gabe will be asking all the questions with some more of the devs. Thank you very much, guys, and speak to you all very soon.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Alrighty then, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. It really does help the channel to grow. This is a dedicated Sniper Elite channel, so hit the subscribe button to be kept up to date on all things Sniper Elite. And I will see you guys in the next video!
Brutal Barracuda, a Sniper Elite channel.